You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gaffman.
All right, here we go. Episode 46. Tonight we have STRAYS of the World band, Eloy La Santa. I believe out of the you are out of the Tampa area. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm out of Tampa. I usually say I'm I'm from Tampa. Wasn't born here, but I've been here for 2/3 of my life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like I should be. I'm allowed to call myself native, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. If you've been anywhere for 30 years or 20 years, I think that you become a resident at that point.
And I've lived everywhere. I've lived in North Tampa, South Tampa, town and country, Tipple Terrace. I've lived it all everywhere. So.
Okay, so I was born in Florida, but I was born in South Florida, and Tampa. Then you have Sarasota's below it.
Sarasota's lower, yeah.
Yeah.
Like maybe almost 2 hours.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And then Siesta Key. That's where we try to go in the spring for spring break. Beautiful, beautiful place.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. What's the weather like tonight in Tampa?
What is the weather like? It's 75 degrees right now. What I've been told, because my son was just out playing with his friends just a minute ago, is that the mosquitoes are out like crazy right now. So he was out for maybe 5 minutes and immediately just came back in. He's like, I can't do it. There's too many bugs out there.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny that you still have bugs. I think we're in the middle of our leaves falling, so it's gotten cold enough to shock the leaves, and they're all starting to fall on the ground. So we're leaf blowing, and you're still dealing with mosquitoes.
Oh yeah. It doesn't get cold here in Tampa, except for about maybe a 2-week period in February.
Yeah,
is when it's like cold, and when I say cold, I mean like 35, which I understand is not cold for everybody, but it's cold for us.
Sure. Are you what do you outside of music? What is your path?
Oh wow. Well, I'm a writer.
Okay.
I'm a writer and a game designer.
Wow.
So actually, I do a lot of like tabletop RPGs.
Yeah.
So if for anybody who doesn't know tabletop, like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff.
Right.
But I obviously have my own company called Third Eye Games that I've been doing for about 15 years.
Wow.
And been having a lot of success in that.
Sure.
Actually, convention I'm going to at the end of this month, PAX Unplugged, which is a big tabletop gaming convention.
Right.
So I'm actually at the end of the month. But yeah, I mean, going strong there. Also, husband, father. I have 3 kids.
Wow.
As well as I do like YouTube content creation.
Sure.
And I work in both tabletop and video games now. I've actually branched out into working in video games. So I'm kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
5 jobs is usually what I tell people.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I've got I've got a full-time job, and then I've got 3 bands. Then I've got the podcast, and it's amazing. My wife puts up with me. It takes a special woman to marry a creative.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. No. Thank goodness for those kind of wives. My wife as well. Like, without her support, both emotionally and bringing in the majority of our finances, my life would be way less creative.
Yeah.
I am allowed, in said words.
Yeah.
I have the freedom to kind of explore any creative thing that I want to do, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I had no idea that we'd be going down this kind of rabbit hole, but are you proficient with Unreal Engine? Unreal Engine 5 and that?
I'm not a game designer in that aspect where like I do coding and stuff.
Right.
With tabletop RPGs, like I do create systems and whatnot, and I'm a writer more, I guess, in that take. I guess that makes me more of a technical writer than game programming designer.
Right.
But for video games, what I've gotten into is mostly narrative design.
Right.
So I'm writing a lot of the dialogue and giving dialogue branches and creating stories and creating where the stories are going and like all that stuff. And that's really, really fun. I'm actually working on two projects right now simultaneously, but and both of them will see the light of day early 2024. So they're not out quite yet,
All
but
right.
will be very soon.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it must be breaking news when I see on X, um, Grok, the X's AI is their version of their version of Chat GPT,
Oh,
and somebody asked Grote. I gotta actually find out how you're supposed to pronounce that. But anyway, somebody asked them when the next Grand Theft Auto was coming out, and it actually made the business news today. That answer is the trailer for Grand Theft 6 is coming out in December, and
yes.
it's such a big deal. Apparently, 10 years. It's taken 10 years to do it, and it made the actual business channel that does stocks and uh, you know the stock channel. I couldn't believe they were doing a segment on Rockstar Games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the thing about Grand Theft Auto 6 is that it has been highly anticipated. Most gaming companies would have already had that one, and we probably would be talking more like GTA 8
Hmm.
coming out,
Hmm.
right? Like, would have already come out with a million different iterations. Following that game, because I loved 5,
Yeah.
uh, I feel like they were fine with online. They were like, let's make all the money we can off of online.
Hmm.
And if you notice, while they were doing that, they were also releasing a whole bunch of other like remasters and like stuff like that. And all of them were buggy as hell and were crashing. And
Well, okay.
so like, they were trying to do other things while they were developing the new game,
Right.
but all those things kept bringing more and more bad press. So they kind of needed to wait out those mistakes that they did because
Yeah.
now if people are announcing 6 and people are excited, that's fine. If they had announced it 2 years ago, they would have still been on the heels of Vice City, all the Vice City bugs and crashing and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Now,
So
yeah. Now you're talking about if you're gaming it on the computer. The only time I ever played those games was on a PlayStation platform, and it was rock solid. Um,
yeah,
so I didn't really know any of that stuff was going on, but
I
I,
normally play on console as well, just because I like the feel of a controller
yeah,
instead of keyboard and mouse. But I try to stay up on all the news as much as I
sure.
can.
I mean, if it's your industry, it's kind of important to do that. Um, well, that's cool, man. I always like to find out, it, people that are musicians that are writing music, original music, and performing original music. They always tend to have some sort of another side art or
Yeah.
talent of some sort, and so it's always kind of fun to find out, the background there. Um, music, getting to the music part.
Music.
Strays of the World. How
Yes.
how did we come up with that band name, and does it mean anything in particular?
It definitely it has a lot of meaning to me. The idea of my music is that I don't particularly attempt to try and fit any single genre or try to sing about any one thing. I'm really trying to create kind of an atmosphere with my music that anybody can come to it.
Yeah,
Uh, Anybody who maybe hasn't found that sound that jives with them.
yeah.
I'm always like, strays of the world. Like I'm collecting all of the strays,
Oh,
to
cool. Yeah.
so we can all kind of hang out and do things together. The name of the band itself is actually the title of one of my very favorite songs written by Prince,
I did see that. Yeah.
"Strays of the World." And it's one of those songs that like barely anybody knows, right?
Sure.
It's not Little Red Corvette
Yeah.
or 99.
Yeah.
It's almost like a musical. It's like lots of like orchestration and stuff in it, but the sentiment is the same. It's like, I'm creating this kind of vibe
Yeah.
that isn't going to appeal to everybody, but it's going to appeal to those people looking for, that musical home.
Yeah. And here's the question that that is the hardest for any artist to answer. Um, you know, when we were talking off air, I said, yeah, it kind of had kind of a, kind of an 80s vibe, maybe kind of I mean, it's so hard to describe or, you know, answer the question, well, what's your band sound like?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing I think for me to answer. What would you say? I mean, Prince was a inspiration. What would you kind of say was, because there's a lot of keyboards and some, that kind of vibe to it. What would you say the style of the music is?
I mean, I usually just say I categorize it under alternative rock since it's such
Uh-huh.
a broad category that can kind of encompass a lot of things.
Right.
But it depends on the song that you listen to because
Sure.
I've been compared to Depeche Mode and
That's what
Nine
I
Inch
thought. Yep.
Nails, right?
Yep.
Like, I have a couple of songs that people go, man, that's funky like Prince, and I have a couple
Mhm.
of others that are like, that's so goth like The Cure.
Yeah.
So it's like, it, and also like a lot of those bands are some of my main inspirations, and and all of them color almost all of my songs.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's one of those things. It's I don't even like to really categorize myself. I kind of go where the music takes me, and
Right.
then I write the songs and then I bundle them together with other songs that fit and feel right.
Right.
But like, for a thing like this, say my new album, I think I fully completed maybe 20 songs for it, and there ended up being 12 on the actual album.
Wow.
And it was because as I was, you know, getting all the ideas and putting all the songs together, so, every so often I'd be like, well, this one doesn't fit anymore.
Right.
This one doesn't go with it anymore, or this one's just kind of it's messing with the vibe or the sequencing, stuff like that. Um, I'm a huge proponent of like a well crafted album.
Yeah.
That we're living more in like a singles,
Yeah.
life right now where people are like, just give me one song and I'm fine, or give me an EP of five and that's fine. But
Yeah.
uh, I feel like the art of the album shouldn't be lost because, an album, like my new album's, I think like 40, 46, 47 minutes.
Yeah.
And just the ability to just like hit play and be taken on a journey
Yeah.
is just an amazing feeling that I've had my whole life. And when I started making music, I said, I definitely want to be that type of artist that isn't going to I mean, there's technically 12 songs on the album. I could just release a song a month, I guess, if I wanted to.
Yeah, that's a struggle that I've gone through as well. Is like, okay, uh, you know, we've done it. We've done it where we've released an album with 13 songs on it. We've done it where we've done singles. Um, you know, getting somebody to actually listen to an actual 3.5 to 4.5 minute song is as difficult enough as it is. TikTok ruined everybody's attention span for, including mine. um, but I agree with you as far as doing an album or a you know it's a block of work that should have some synchronicity to it. It should have a vibe to it. You wouldn't want to have this kind of a kind of a chill groove kind of vibe, and then all of a sudden a Green Day punk song right in the middle of the record. Like, that makes no doesn't make sense.
Well, and that's what I've used my singles for is like basically those songs that were written for the album but ended up getting cut for one reason or another. Well, then I'll release the album and then afterwards I still want the music out there.
Yeah.
So I've experimented with some singles over the last year. That's what 2023 was mostly was releasing singles. I think I released like five or six or something.
Yeah.
Um, and while I've been preparing, the new album for release next year.
Right. Well, what got you started? First off, how many instruments? I mean, you obviously are producing. So, what DAW are you using to create?
Logic, because I'm a Mac guy.
Yeah, me too.
Using Logic just because and I have an M1 Max laptop that handles everything I can throw at it, which
Right.
is pretty awesome.
All right, stop there. Talk to me about that. I
With
I'm in dire straits to upgrade my all of my, well, at least my recording, my live laptop seems to be okay. Plenty of powers to fire some tracks. But talk to me about the new Apple M. No, I'm looking at the M3. I think they have an M3.
Threes are out. I have an M1 Max. So
Okay.
when they came over with the Apple Silicon chips when Apple started making their own chips,
Yep.
I was like, okay, because what they did is they then optimized um, logic to work with
Sure.
the Apple Silicon, meaning that you could run it, you could run logic on a more powerful Intel, more quote unquote powerful Intel MacBook, and it wouldn't run as good.
Right.
So it's just like it's designed to run using the silicon, meaning you can have more tracks, you have less buffering, and just it can just handle
Yeah.
more. So yeah, a couple of years ago when the M1 came out, the M1 Max was out, so I went ahead and I just bought the most expensive one that there was.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Like
um,
so, but
so
I don't plan on getting rid of it until like maybe the M5 comes out, right?
yeah.
Like
So if I remember correct, the M1 Max was essentially a stacked chip. It had two M1 chips or something like that to give you like 20 core. How many core processing?
well, there was the M1, and then there was the M1 Pro, and
Okay.
then the M1 Max. So it's the
Okay.
Pro is 2, and then the Max is 4.
Oh, okay. So how many cores are you operating with? And my biggest question, since we're doing a video podcast and I'm dealing with 20 terabytes worth of stuff over here,
Yes.
how does it chew up rendering video and such?
Oh no, it goes. It's really fast on rendering video, especially since Logic was made to optimize with it, but so is Final Cut Pro, which is the video program.
Yep.
So like I can do because I do also video content and stuff for YouTube.
Yeah.
When I do those like an hour video or something, I can get that rendered in I don't know like 6 minutes, something like that. Like it's
No, don't
like
say
rendered
that. I'm
fast.
rendering over here. I typically do an hour and a half show,
Mhm.
but I did a show that was 4.5 hours.
Oh wow.
Marty Manus, a guitar player, so he and I just started talking guitar gears and superheroes and all kinds of stuff. And I had to render that. I started it at 9 p.m. And when I came back to the studio at 9 a.m., it was just finishing up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, dude. It was,
That's kind of crazy. Well, no,
yeah,
I mean, no, definitely you wouldn't have that issue.
right.
And cores, I'm trying to remember. I think it's like 32 core,
Let me look it
something
up
like
here.
that. Like, again, like I got the most like the stupid most expensive one
Yeah, it's
that
not stupid. It's,
Well, I mean, like just like like incredulously
yeah,
powerful. Because I was like, again, I don't want to have to buy another computer for years.
yeah.
So let me get the best one available. And of course, now, every year they come out with one better, but this one still handles everything I have to throw at it. So I
Yeah.
don't need to upgrade, at least not yet.
It
Not
looks
until
yeah.
I
It looks like it's maybe 10 core. M1 Max features the same powerful 10 core. Oh, but it adds a massive 32 core. So it's 42 core. Wait,
There you go.
no, it's the GPU is 32 core, the CPU is 10 core. And I'm sure we're boring some people that are thinking about music, but guess what? If
Yeah,
you
it says 10 CPU cores. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we might be boring people that are here for music, but guess what? Um, if you don't have a, let's just say it, if you don't have a Mac and, an editing software and editing a DAW, a video suite, uh, to me, it's just as important for me as having the proper guitar gear.
Exactly.
And, I get just as creative in that world, if not more, actually, probably more than when I'm playing. Yeah, my guitar is definitely secondary at that point. So,
Oh yeah.
so your writing process, we could go down. I love talking about Apple products because they are
Right.
so good. I love it. But your writing process, how does that typically start? Does it start with lyrics? Does it start with a melody you just hear in your head and you record to your voice memo on your iPhone? Because we're going to be, Mac.
Hey, Mac,
Yeah,
if you have one thing, you have them all,
yeah,
essentially. You got to live in the ecosystem.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what ends up happening is anytime I get any idea for anything, whether it be a bass line, a beat, anything like that. I take out my voice memo and I record it.
Yep.
Then I just store that away, right? Where, months later, sometimes I'll go back through them and I'll be like, okay, let me put that one now into my DAW and let me recreate what I had there, but with, actual instruments.
Yeah.
But like I taught myself, I grew up on like 80s hip hop.
Okay.
Like, Fat Boys and stuff like that. So doing the,
Yeah.
beatboxing and stuff like that's a thing that I've done for my whole life. So just whenever I get an idea, pull up my phone, I just do a little bit of it in it, hit stop, and then I can always recreate it later. I would say the majority of the songs that I do come from that. Not all of them. Sometimes they come from just me messing around in the studio.
Sure.
But I would say the majority of them come from an idea that I had a year prior that I finally
voice
brought.
memo. Yeah. The voice memo. The voice memo function. I've got a vault full of, whether it's a riff, whether it's a chorus, or some sort of a guitar part, and I'm like, ooh, I've never played that before. I've been playing guitar for 40 years or whatever it's been. Record. And
Yeah.
and it's interesting, and this is what I do. It'd be interesting to see what you do when I'm doing something on that, like on the guitar. I'll announce my tuning. This is this, I'm in this tuning, and then I'll start playing it. Or if there's a BPM kind of an idea, I'll say 98 BPM, this tuning, and I'll play it. That way, when I go to play it back, I'll have a reference of, oh, okay, I was doing this or I was doing that. Because I've gone back to listen to stuff. I'm like, what did I do there? And have to figure out what I was doing,
Yeah, I get that a lot of the time too when just trying to do tones.
Yeah.
I'll record. I remember there was a song. I'm trying to remember which song it was. But I recorded this amazing bass line. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to extend on that idea that I recorded months ago, but I've already changed the tuning and changed all the settings and everything on my guitar on my bass to do something else. Then after between months, so then it was it was really hard to come back to it and figure out what I did. But it took me a whole day just to figure out what settings I had, so that then I could just go and just add one little extra little riff. It's it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So you're actually using bass guitars, and you're using virtual instruments and stuff like that. What are some of your favorite virtual instruments, and what are you doing for percussion? Are you using some sort of an MPC kind of a thing in the computer?
So what I do for the majority, and a lot of my music, to me, I feel like every music's, but my music usually starts with a beat, and then once I have a good beat, then I figure out what the bass line is then to that. So to do my beats, I actually just have thousands and thousands of samples of drum pieces.
Yeah.
That I essentially will just pick a set from a random folder, because I've just bought so many, and then I will. Sometimes just literally, I'll just spend a whole day just throwing different samples in different measures and whatnot just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's atrocious and they come out terrible. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I can use that one.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up happening a lot of the time is I make a beat first. And then whenever I get a feeling hey, that beat, I think I know what I can add to that. And then I usually add the bass.
Mm-hmm.
Then I usually will mess around with some keys after that.
Yep.
So guitar for me, I approach guitar more as flavor for a lot of my songs.
Yeah.
A lot of my songs are very heavy on beat, bass, and keys.
Yeah.
And then I add a little bit of flavor, and then I sing on top of that.
Yeah.
So that's how it ends. That's how a lot of my songs end up. Except for my last album, not my last album, my newest album that's coming out. It's called Disaster.
Yep.
I was trying to be a lot more guitar focused on this album.
Okay.
So there's a lot more guitar kind of going crazy because I was trying to train myself to get better. My second album had a lot more bass on it. My first album was more about keys. Yeah. So for me, every album is an exploration of something.
Sure.
because I like to challenge myself.
Yeah. Now, what are you using for keys? Just a MIDI controller, but you using what is it, Main Stage? Is that's
I
Apple's?
don't use main stage. I have main stage, but main stage is I haven't done anything with main stage.
Wow,
I have a Medeli keyboard, full keyboard
wow,
that's actually built into my desk. I wish I don't have it set up here, but like
right,
it basically, I if I back up, I can roll it out and then I can just play it.
yeah,
So that was super important, was for me to have a full keyboard so I could mess around with all of the different elements that I
yeah.
have.
So
Um,
when you say fully, were we talking about 88 key?
yeah,
Wow,
yeah, the full 88 key.
wow,
And what I end up doing a lot of the time is sometimes I'll play the sounds that are on my actual keyboard here.
yeah,
The majority of the time, I just play what I think, and then I'll spend hours going through all of the virtual synths and
yeah,
to like, all right, so this was my my keyboard riff that I did. Now, what sound do I want to accompany that?
yeah,
Uh, I have a lot of songs where literally, ones that aren't like I need a piano,
sure,
right?
sure,
If I need like a different sound besides a piano, I spend hours just going through my vast
yeah,
catalog of
yeah.
PSTs. Crazy.
It literally is a rabbit hole that you can get stuck
Yeah.
searching for a sound. You can also get it inspired by, oh, what was that sound? It might be an arpeggiator, it might be something. Uh, you hit a sound, you're like, oh my goodness, that's really cool. Write it down. That's good for something else.
Oh
But
yeah.
let's unpack a little bit of what you just said. Um,
Sure.
the the difference between um, using the keyboard as a MIDI controller and recording parts using VSTs, um, versus using the sounds from the keyboard that you were just talking about. When you record the keyboard sound from the keyboard, there's not any adjusting it or making changes to it after the fact. If you're using the MIDI controller, you can record the MIDI and you can go, you know what, that sounds not quite right. Let's try another sound. Or that it's, I look at it as non-destructive recording versus granite tablets that you're
Yeah.
you're etching.
Yeah, I end up using it as a MIDI controller most of the time.
Yeah,
Even if I want a piano sound,
yeah,
I still record it as a MIDI and then I use a MIDI piano,
hmm,
uh, VST. It's kind of like what you said. It's more for convenience, right?
yeah,
I can adjust. Maybe my pinky was off a little bit, so like it didn't hit right when I needed it to.
yeah,
Or I can actually be like, well, I actually need this section to be. I need more thrust, right? So you can adjust
yeah.
the forgot what the word for it is, but like when your
Velocity. Yeah,
velocity. So you can adjust the velocity of the actual playing in certain parts, and it gives you a lot of like really fine tuned control over it.
yep,
The problem is that MIDI isn't real playing. I mean, the MIDI can only give you what MIDI can give you.
yeah,
So it actually requires a lot of post production to make it sound exactly like you're playing it for real,
yeah,
or just a really, really good piano VST,
yeah,
right? That
yeah.
will make stuff for you.
Well, I would highly recommend my keyboard player, Mike Bielenberg, that plays in Sweet Soul Sister with me. Uh, he is, he's got his main keyboard that's got different sounds in it, but then he's got a MIDI controller below it, and he uses Main Stage for all of his pianos, his Fender Rhodes,
Mm.
Wurlitzers. I'm not sure if he's using the Hammond stuff on that, but the Main Stage, it's like a $25 plugin or something. You might even get it when you have Logic. I think you do.
Say, I have it. I just have not used it.
Yeah, I think you should dig into that and see. There's some magic in there because I've heard it. I don't know what
What?
I don't know what it is, but there's magic in there.
I will.
Yeah,
I will definitely check that out
yeah.
then.
The other thing that I like to do when I'm, composing and producing over here, um, is I'll do that keyboard track like you're talking about, with a piano or a Rhodes or something MIDI, and
Mhm.
then I will duplicate that and then assign that to a whole different voicing,
Yes, yes.
and then pan them out and have these stacked ethereal sounds.
I like to do that the same. I like to do that with pads as well
Yeah,
because I don't want the pads to follow the keys anyway.
sure.
So I'll just copy paste the keys I just did, but then I'll make it more of an ethereal kind of pad
Yeah,
underneath it, and it just adds that extra flavor. That's
yeah,
definitely a trick I use,
yeah.
100%.
Yeah, you go in there and you take a bunch of notes out. You have a busier keyboard track, and you go in there, copy it, and then
Make it
simplify it. Yep,
right, yeah,
yep.
for the pads, right?
So that comes to this question:
Uh,
how many hours have we sat in front of a MIDI piano roll, uh, editing velocities and quantize and all that kind of stuff? How many hours do you think we've done that?
for just one song?
Yeah, right. I know, right? Yeah, let's take one song. How much time do you think? And this is an interesting thing because this is what the part that the average casual listener has no idea that I played that song 45 times in a row. This 15-second segment 45 times in a row, over and over and over until my wife told me you have to have a studio that is detached from my house because it's driving me insane. Uh, that's what we do when we're creating these when creating music.
Exactly. I mean, and I think for me it depends on whether the song is very highly, keys focused. Obviously, if we take a
Yep.
song like "Scars," like we were talking about earlier, that one has a lot of keys in it. And yeah, I messed around with the velocity and like the swinginess of them, the volume sets. That one also took me many, many, many vocal takes to get right. So yeah, that was a tough one, especially since on that track as well, not only is there the piano, but there's the strings. I have a flute on there.
Yeah.
Those were all created using VSTs as well.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
and manipulate each of those.
Yeah.
The string one especially was the hardest because when you're doing those, you have to go in and you have to essentially adjust the velocity for how the bow would be
Yeah.
done. So
Yeah.
you have to like alternate velocities and just to get it to just sound just right. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
It's so many hours. I would say at least 4 to 5 hours on just that for that one song.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. It's I use some native instrument stuff. I've got I've got a my go-to, and I can't believe I'm telling everybody all my tricks. Uh, but there's a string quartet VST from I believe it's from Contact. The Contact stuff sounds amazing.
oh
Um,
yeah,
so there's a string section that I use that's my go-to on that where it'll allow you to make a quartet. So I have like a viola, a violin, a cello, and I don't think it's the double bass. I don't think it's a bass, but another stringed instrument. And you can in all of these plugins, you can tell it what key you're in. If it's in A minor, okay, is it got this kind of a feel? Is it happy? Is it sad? Is it and then you can make simple chords sound like I'm an actual orchestra doing a pad over a section, and do you ever feel like you're cheating? I feel like I'm cheating sometimes because I'm like, man, this sounds so good, and it's just me.
yeah. I don't feel like it's cheating. I feel like it's the glory of living in today's world.
Yeah,
It's one of those things, right? That it's it's both a blessing and a curse. Because if anybody can make music,
yeah,
then anybody can make music,
mhm,
right? So it makes it really easy to make it sound good, even if it's not good.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I don't think it was on air, but I was having a conversation with somebody um, regarding there's a big to do in the guitar world of whether you're using a tube Marshall or a Black Star or a tube head versus uh, the Kemper profiling, modeling type of to get your sounds. And my argument always goes to this: if Jimi Hendrix was alive today, he would have his nose so deep into exploring whatever kind of sounds this thing can make. He already knows what that can make. That I think would be boring to him these days. He's going to be nose deep in learning every aspect of how he can make his guitar sound different. I think, like you said, in the era that we're living in, it's a blessing and a curse. But we got too many curses. Let's just stay with it. It's a blessing because you can capture amazing quality sound straight to a MacBook or a Mac computer using a simple interface and go. Jimi Hendrix would be using it all day long. That's my argument.
Well, I mean, and that's, like that's something that I always admired of, Prince. We had talked about
Sure.
Prince before we hit record.
Yeah.
Like that was something I always admired about Prince, is that he loved music so much that he had a studio. Like he would
Yeah.
wake up and make music, and then he'd go to bed. And when he woke up again, he'd go make more music.
Yeah.
And I actually loved that so much that was why I decided to build my own studio here. And
Yeah.
like anytime I feel like making music, I can make music.
Yeah.
And that in that case, it's definitely a blessing. And it definitely takes a lot of work. If you're really trying to put your heart and soul into it, then it
Yeah.
takes work.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with people who were like, don't bore us, get to the chorus. You're just trying to find a hit and all that stuff. And I'm like, no, like
Yeah.
I'm trying to make good music.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's long, if it's short, what genre it's in or whatever. I just want to make something that I can like be super proud of.
Yeah.
That people want to like listen. And not everybody's going to like your music.
Yeah.
But also not everybody's going to like your music. So also blessing and curse, right? Like it's actually really cool to be able to make a piece of art and you can immediately tell who's vibing with you.
Right.
It's just like, oh, those are my people, because they
Right.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's that's why I have this studio here. Same reason. I'm literally out here in my studio every night from 9 p.m. until time to go to bed. And it's all just about I want people to listen and like what I've spent all that time working on and creating. But at the end of the day, it's really just my psychiatrist out here. It's just to amuse my mind that goes a million miles a minute. I need 17 TVs on, so much stimuli. That's like where my chemistry is. I need to be having a MacBook here with Google on it. I got an iPad over here for mixing. I got channel switching on the cameras. I need so much stimulation that if I don't get that, not good things happen. So
No.
it's really my doctor's visit. Yeah.
No, I definitely feel you there. And honestly, it's like, kind of going back to the why. It's good to have like that inspiration.
Yeah.
And like I like to just write down everything. And my wife will listen to my music and she'll be like, "How many songs are about me?" And I'll go like, "Most of them are about you."
Yeah.
She's like, "You got some really bad stuff." And I was like, "I mix it up. There's some nice songs about you too."
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
even the bad ones are probably about you.
Yeah. Well, it's
I
about,
back and forth. It's okay.
yeah. It's about your existence at the moment, right?
I love you still. I'm just saying, in that moment, I was really mad.
Well, and this is a good segue to go to your singing and your lyrical content. We've talked about the creation of music and the tools that we use and how we do it and all that kind of stuff. I am not a singer. I've got singers in my bands. I hear melody and I can give harmonies and melody ideas and stuff like that. And I know what's in pitch and out of pitch, but it doesn't come out of here. What was your inspiration? How did you learn to sing? You can sing and play at the same time. That's a whole art form in itself. What got you started as a singer?
Singing and playing is hard and takes a lot of practice. I can't do it for all of my songs. I can do it for some of them.
Yeah.
Because that's just hard. If I can just focus on singing, then I usually like to do that. And then that's why I have a band who will do the rest of it. On record it is basically me,
Yeah.
but then when I want to do a live performance, it can't just be me on stage.
Yeah.
But the singing thing is one of those weird things because I've always been told that I had a good voice. And again, I hate to keep bringing Prince up. It's a thing. But Prince is he is a masterful teacher. If you can sing his songs, you can pretty much sing anything.
Sure.
So I learned a lot just from singing his songs since I was 13, which 31 years ago
Right.
is when.
Yeah.
So like just listening to him and just trying to mirror him and hitting all the notes and learning how to do different inflections. But also, branching out and singing. I've always been a singer,
Yeah.
but I just never recorded myself. So when I decided I wanted to do this, obviously, I went and got my vocal coach. They helped me find my range.
Yeah.
They helped get my techniques and stuff down so that I could actually, sing with confidence, which is one of those things that even if you think you can sing, having the confidence behind your voice
Yeah.
and not trying to sound like somebody else
Yeah.
is a hard road that not every singer even tackles. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll listen to a singer and I'll be like, well, I know who they're trying to emulate.
Right.
Finding your own voice though is super, super important, I would say, for any singer. And and not everybody's gonna like your voice. And most times it's a thing with our ears. We don't even like our own voices most of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can feel comfortable and confident in your own voice, then like the people like your voice. Mostly you're the one who doesn't like your own voice.
Yeah. It comes down to this, two words, whether you're a guitar player, whether you're singing, whatever you're doing on stage performing, owning it, owning it and performing it, the best you can be of being you. That's what it's all about. All the hard work of writing it's already been done. Now comes the whole part of rehearsing it to be able to perform it live, and owning it. And that's the big part where I see a lot of bands that go and they run through a song. It could be their song, could be a cover song, and they just run through the song. They're not owning it and doing anything with it to be a step above or a different. That it's a very difficult thing to own it.
I mean, I think especially with covers, like I'm kind of a connoisseur when it comes to like trying to really find good covers because I've never been a fan of somebody who just takes a song that somebody already did and just sings it exactly the way that they did, right?
Yeah.
I like those songs, those covers that become transformative and actually bring something new to the song. A couple of really good examples, if anybody wants to like seek them out. One by Filter is an amazing cover of the song One. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
Oh yeah.
That their version of that song is amazing.
Yeah.
And System of a Down covered Metro.
Wow.
And like again, like completely transforms the song. My first album, I did a cover of Ava Door from the Smashing Pumpkins, and we didn't completely transform the song, but we added a little bit of like funk to it. Like we added a little bit of extra flavor and stuff that Billy Corgan,
Sure.
didn't version.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really enjoyed recording that song because we took it and we made it our own. We didn't just record what he had already recorded. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Remind me when we get done to send you I am not a cover guy, and they really have to twist my arm to do one. And we Sweet Soul Sister Band did a cover of a song that when they pitched it to me, I was like, really? And then we started playing it, and I was like, yes, I will totally play this song because it is totally polar opposite of what it was originally, and we haven't released it yet, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'll send it to you, and I'd love to get your reaction of the vibe change.
Because honestly, I love a good cover.
Yeah,
You know, again, it's like, if you're just covering the song, it's like, oh, yeah, that was fine.
yeah,
Take it and make it your own. That I'm totally in that point. Because I feel like if, again, kind of what you said, like if you can even take somebody else's song and own it,
right,
right?
yeah,
That means that you actually have a voice of your own.
right, yeah. You have a sound. You've developed a sound, and that band's been together for 8 years or more now. I don't even know. And we have a vibe and a sound, and we could try to do a cover like something, and it would still just sound like our vibe.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of the whole point. Well, let's check out a track. We're gonna listen to a song called "Hello." I believe this is off of which album?
This one is off of my second album called Chaos All.
Yep.
The song itself it's an interesting song. It was kind of has a little bit of like a kind of a reggae feel to it.
Yeah.
It was written. The idea behind the song is that you want to go and say hello to this person that you're kind of like, oh, like they seem like a really interesting person. I might want to get to know them, romantically or whatever. But you're also kind of scared. You're kind of just hoping that they would come say hello to you.
Yeah.
Essentially the idea of the song, because and it's a thing that happens with me all the time. It's, if I'm in a weird social situation, I find it hard to start the conversation a lot of the time. Unless you say hello first, and then I'm all over it then at that point.
Right.
So that's basically where the song is. And I actually got a friend of mine, her name is Leilani G, and she's the one saying hello on the track.
Cool.
She duets with me on another song on that album. But I got her to say hello on this one. But this one's a really fun one. It's low key. And I wrote most of the lyrics while I was in the shower.
Nice. I like it. All right. Well, let's check it out. This is Strays of the World. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Sitting on a catwalk with a tambourine. It's a blue one. Hoping for a ride in your limousine to anywhere we want. Just say hello, and I'm yours. Just say hello,
there's several notes. When I listen to songs like this on air, I, I just write down, you know, what I'm hearing, and one of the things that's amazing about that track to me is, and I think it comes from Logic. Logic does a really good job at in your engineering of stereo separation.
Yeah.
Um, on the percussion bed in that track. There's stuff going on here. There's stuff going on here. Uh, and everybody, do yourself a favor when you're listening to music. Uh, wear some in-ear buds or headphones. And just the Apple earbuds are amazing. Any of that kind of stuff. But there's a scratchy percussion loop that's kind of over here in my left side. It might be right on your side, but a really cool the percussion bed going on there is what just kind of gives it it gives it the pulse. And then there's like an Arabic kind of a melody somewhat going on. It's not overly done. And then it's got the counter rhythmic reggae part. It's all over the place, man. It's definitely not alt rock. It's Aloy.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, and that's what I'm saying, right? It's just like, but if you listen to like, the next track right after that's more alternative rock than that one is,
Sure,
right?
sure.
The one before that one is more leans in like maybe industrial range. So like that whole album is, I guess, Chaos All being the title of it is
Yeah.
very apt for that album specifically. Two things about Hello that I actually really enjoyed when I was putting the song together is so the first one is that I'm a big fan of like the having my vocals kind of bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
So like if you listen like to the last part, you'll have the I'm singing the chorus as normal, but then I have the underbacking
Yep.
kind of. But the idea of this song is that it's not like my search is over, but the story isn't over. And I did a thing with the arrangement here that not everybody recognizes, but like there is no final chorus. I hit the bridge and then the song's done, as opposed to the normal song loop,
Yeah.
which verse, chorus, bridge, chorus,
Yeah.
and then in on a chorus. Like I've this is the second time I've done that with a song where I purposefully did not, I had purposefully skipped the chorus, because what that does after the bridge, in like music theory and like arrangement theory, I guess is what it would be called, is
Composition.
composition. That final chorus, it like completes the journey and it says like the song, this story I'm telling here is done. And actually actively skipping that on the song means there is no actual conclusion. It can actually leave the audience like wanting. They're
Yeah.
like, wait,
It's not unresolved.
resolved. That's a
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
word. Yeah. So like on that particular song, that was important for me to have on there.
Yeah. I would say the outro vibe, the counter melody, I mean the counter rhythm reggae upstroke kind of thing was there, and there was some melody stuff going on. Excuse me. That to me, and everything kind of always comes back to soundtrack for me. I like to compose soundtrack type stuff. That could be a dark alley near the dumpster in a John Wick movie, or a Batman movie, where they just came out of a club and this song is playing, and they come outside and you can still hear it kind of faintly. That's the vibe that I got visually in my head of the outro of that song.
I could totally hear that.
Yeah. Let's talk about your vocal. You said earlier about finding your voice or your register. You sing higher than is that a Prince thing?
I think it is. I end up singing in the higher part of my register, but I don't always go into my falsetto.
Right.
But I do prefer to sing high in that range. I mean, I occasionally will sing low,
Yeah,
but my voice has always naturally been higher than other men my age.
sure.
Uh, even yeah, I've just always had a higher voice. So honestly, it's just easier to sing higher because it just comes naturally,
Yeah,
and that's where my brain goes melodically. Like I'm thinking of these like higher pitched top lines that in songs where it didn't necessarily work with my voice. That's when I use the guitar to go up there.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, two things. You know, singing higher like that tends to cut. It tends to cut through the song better and sit in the bed of music a little bit better. Let's talk about those guitars. Eh, I'm gonna guitar nerd out a little bit. It sounded to me like a single coil type guitar with some processing. Or what are you using for the guitar sound on that?
Um, gosh. So I have I mean I have the one guitar. I recorded the whole album with just the one guitar, which is my where is it over here? No, it's not over there. Oh no, I have it. It's in my guitar bag. Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
sure.
But it's a really nice guitar that I ended up feeding through. I end up using a lot of VSTs when it comes to a lot of the back end processing.
Yeah,
That was like mostly just me playing my normal guitar, but then I fed it through this kind of ethereal virtual amp.
yeah,
We hadn't actually talked about that. My virtual amps, I have a few on hand from Neural DSP,
yep.
those, and I believe the one from that song, I think, is from Tim Henson's
Sure,
pack,
sure.
that particular song.
Yeah, from
So
Polyphia. That
I,
guy's a monster.
but yeah, so I mean, I believe I was using that particularly for the processing of the Middle Eastern
Yeah,
lead guitar part.
yeah,
I believe the regular ones I just added a little bit of crunch on it, like a little bit of distortion. I think
yeah. It had some crunch. Yeah,
like it's nothing super. That one didn't need a ton of flavor for what it was doing.
yeah. No, what is it? A single coil guitar? What is it?
So what I now, of course, I'm blanking on the name, of course. Um, oh gosh.
It
So it's a really pretty guitar that has like doves going up the
Yeah,
spine.
Paul Reed Smith.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, if it's a Paul Reed Smith, yeah.
it's a PRS. Thank you.
Okay, those would probably be humbuckers with the possibility of a switch to split to single coil.
So what I did, so one thing I did though, because now you're right. So I got my PRS, but then I upgraded my PRS to get a deeper sound, and I ended up getting the Kill Switch Engage. Like, gosh, what was the name of them? It was they were humbuckers,
Yeah.
obviously, but they were like not even no coil. Like I'm trying to remember.
Split
But they're
coil.
Go ahead.
Was it a split coil? Was it the ability to coil tap or split coil?
Now I'm like I'm gonna bring it up
Yeah.
here, and
Pull that thing up. Let's look at it.
I'm just gonna bring the purchase order. It's annoying that I can't remember the name of what it was now.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing about all this is, you have to know the Alesis Strike Pro Special Edition. You need to know the Hammond. You need to know the Doug Pinnick bass preamp. You need to know the Kemper. You need to know the Behringer X32. You need to know so much about all of the different instruments to get good tone and sounds to tape.
I know a lot about it while I'm researching it, and then as soon as I buy the thing that I want,
Yeah.
I forget the name. So
Yeah.
in this case, these were the Fishman Fluence Kill Switch Engage 6-string signature 2-piece pickup set.
Yeah.
So it was humbuckers, and they're made out of ceramic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. They sound amazing.
Yeah.
So like.
Well, that's the thing. You can plug into a a guitar plugin, um, and you're using the Neural DSP. I'm using the Positive Grid um, stuff, and it's amazing. You can again plug into it and play a sound and go, oh, that's a great sound for another song. Write it down. This is digging through and finding a sound that sits into your song is time consuming. You get lost.
Very much the same as what we were talking about earlier with the VSTs for keys, right?
Yep.
It's like, but now it applies now also to guitar. So I'll do the same riff, and then I'll just feed that riff through all of the different virtual amps,
Yeah.
and every single one of them is a different song, even though it's the same riff.
Right. Yeah. It's maddening, actually.
So long just to get one song done. It's crazy.
Well, how long? You said that you'll overproduce quantity of music and then land on 12 songs for a record. How far into the production process do you get a song before you go, okay, this one's worth finishing, this one's, we'll bookshelf that for a little bit. Do you try to get everything to the finish line, or do you get it to a listenable point and go, okay, is this working?
I get it to like a rough draft,
Yeah.
and then figure out if it's worth doing additional takes and polishing and doing more production and stuff on it. And that's not to say that even getting it to that point is easy.
Right.
There are definitely a few songs that I'll come up with the initial idea and I'll start it and I'll be like, it's not worth it. I have all these other ones over here that I could spend this time working on,
Yeah.
that I know for sure things. So, but I mean, I would say I can get a song probably to like 40%, maybe 50% done.
Yeah.
And then that's a good point for me to decide whether I'm going to invest more time in it.
Yeah.
This album, for my newest album, Disaster, I think I ended up with 15 songs that were completely done.
Wow.
I still cut 3 of them just because after I was done with everything, like the sequencing just they didn't fit in the sequencing anymore. Like they actually interrupted the flow of the album and even if I like the song, if it doesn't fit the flow and the feel of it, like it has to go. It'll be a B-side or a single or way, since it is done. So
Yeah. That kind of, just talking about this, kind of gave me an idea of releasing something called like the dumpster tracks. Where it's songs that I started writing and I got them to a point and they didn't quite work for this or this. Release it as a dumpster track.
My favorite artists have done that. When
Prince did it.
Prince did it. Crystal Ball,
Yeah.
his like 3-disc set.
Yeah.
That was 3 discs worth of songs that just didn't make it to album. Smashing Pumpkins did it. Their album Pisces Iscariot was all of the tracks that didn't make their first couple of albums.
Yeah.
And System of a Down, their cover of Metro was on an album called Steal This Album, which was also a bunch of songs that didn't make their other albums.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of it's tried and true. Like that is a good method to like take these tracks that didn't necessarily have a home, give them a home. They're together in a place with no home. It's like I think that works, and maybe I'll do that one day. At this point, I just decided to release those as singles.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe instead I'll just throw them all onto one thing.
Yeah. Songs from the vault.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. Well, talking about Prince, his situation was he had to get out of a abusive contract to the point where he changed his name, but he still owed him albums. So I think he was recording, daily. It's kind of like Eddie Van Halen with 5150, having a studio like you're talking about. And, that's, you get up and you have your coffee in the studio and you go and work. I think Prince was busy writing and making more hits, and then was just releasing stuff to get through his contract. So
what ended up happening was when he made that decision, because if for anybody who wants to go check it out, I have a YouTube channel called Prince's Friend, which is that's basically what I do. Is all I do is talk about Prince on that channel, which is why he comes up in my conversation
Sure,
constantly.
sure.
But one thing that he did was when he was doing that argument with his record contract, Warner Brothers, he decided that he was not going to record anything new for him. So those last few albums were only stuff he had already previously recorded
Yeah.
that he just like, did some post production and then put it on an album and put it out. And then as soon as he was free of his record contract, he released an album called Emancipation, which was actually three entire albums,
Yeah.
three 12-track 1 hour albums of new stuff that he had been recording for the last few years.
Yeah.
So it was an amazing like triumph for him, which is why it was more of his celebration of his freedom and stuff. So I mean, definitely, and honestly, like a lot of the stuff that people attribute to a lot of the artists nowadays, like Prince, started a lot of that stuff, even selling his music directly to his fans online.
Yeah.
Prince was most people would do that in the mid 90s where it was a lot harder to sell directly on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, was Emancipation, did that have like Diamonds and Pearls and what were some of those tracks that when he came out? And I believe it was under his own label at that point, no?
Under MPG
Pace-
Records
MPG or Paisley Park or
studio that is called Paisley Park,
Yeah.
MPG Records.
yeah.
No, Diamonds and Pearls was off. That was 1991.
Wow.
They actually just released Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe this year, which lots of extra tracks and all that stuff.
Sure.
But songs off of Emancipation, Somebody was a really good one off of there. Jam of the Year
Yeah,
was
Jam of
awesome.
the Year was good, yeah.
Jam of the Year was dope, right?
Yeah.
He also had his cover of Betcha by Golly Wow
Oh, yeah.
off of the cover of he did three covers. He did four covers. He did Betcha by Golly Wow, he did I Can't Make You Love Me, he did One of Us, and he did La 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 Means I Love You. So he did four covers on that album. Because also part of his emancipation was that Warner Brothers never wanted him to do covers. And he
Right.
actually loved doing covers, but
Yeah.
it needs to be all original or they wouldn't like work with him to put out the album. So,
Yeah.
On Freedom album, he's like, I'll just do all these covers that I want to do then.
Yeah. I've been wanting to do them. May as well do them now, right? So I happen to live in Minneapolis. I moved up there in 90 or 91, maybe 89. Somewhere. I'm terrible with years because they go by so fast. And so I think was right at that situation where he was trying to get out of the contract, changed his name, and built Paisley Park, I believe in Wyzetta, just outside of Minneapolis. And I was just a young kid trying to play guitar and went to a open mic jam in downtown Minneapolis, driving my aunt's car, and ended up hanging out with his Hammond player. I don't know if it was the MPG band back then or whoever it was, but I walked into this place, got to go on stage and play a jam in D, and then hang out with the keyboard Hammond player from Prince's band in Minneapolis in that era. And I was like, this is surreal, but those are the fun things to where, if you're a musician, get out there, go to open mics. If you don't have a band and you're not, established, get out there. The only way you get better playing with human beings is playing with human beings. So go to open mics and throw it out there, man. Just do what you do and see if it sticks. See if they ask you back. That's a good one.
Yes. One of the things for me was like, because I started making music during the pandemic was when I started really making my music. I started making music in 2019, and kind of off and on. I ended up releasing my first album in 2021. So I took a couple of years of like learning as much as but all of my stuff had been studio up until this year, which is when I decided I wanted to basically set myself the goal that before this year was over, I was going to get my band together and actually start performing the stuff live. and we actually had our first show in October. It took me that long, but I got it going. We had our first Strays of the World show. We opened up for Andrew W. Boss, who is a really awesome kind of new metal, rock rapper guy.
Right.
Really, really good stuff. He puts on a damn good show, but we got to open up for him, and we slayed it. It was really good. Like the crowd loved it, and then he went up there and like destroyed the stage. Like nobody could. I'm glad I went before him and not
Yeah.
after. So, but yeah, like that was one of my main goals was, once I knew I could make music and the music was good,
Yeah.
then it's time to start bringing it to the masses. And being able to get up on stage and perform in front of a crowd, it's a different skill set from just making music. It becomes the showmanship of it, and it becomes like, can you convey that not in just words, but also can you convey it with your face and your movement
Yeah.
and what
But-
the whole.
But can you also do it and be cool? Like,
Yes.
don't oversell it. Don't be, don't be over theatrical. I mean, there's a fine line between acting a part and being the part. you
Yeah.
know? And I think it took me a long time to figure out where to be. Now I just go on stage and I'm like, my goal when I go on stage is to play a flawless 45, 60, 90-minute show. And if I come off the stage and I feel like, I never come off the stage and go, I nailed everything. I'll be like, man, I hit 3 bad notes. Damn it.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the thing I've noticed most about performing live is that, like, obviously we'll beat ourselves up for every little thing. The crowd doesn't know. The crowd doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson that I got from, my first guitar teacher was you never stop, right? You just
No.
you play through.
Yeah.
Even if you mess up, just fix it and keep going.
Yeah.
I apply that to everything in music nowadays.
Yeah.
So even if I mess up on a lyric or I hit a wrong note or whatever, just keep going. Like, the audience doesn't know. It's okay.
Not only do you not stop, but you don't even make a facial expression. You don't even look at the guys. So when I'm saying about playing live and not making a mistake, it's for these guys. Like, they know what's supposed to happen. And if something goes awry, and something will go awry, don't even, like, if there's a mistake, don't even make a facial expression. Don't even look at each other. Especially don't look at each other. Sell it as if that was what was intended. And I think you'll have a good success rate playing live.
Yep, and so far so good. Our first show was good. We're setting up a few others. We're definitely hoping to book some more going forward. But like I said, everybody had a fun time. We had a huge crowd that came out for us.
Yeah.
Even had more than some of the other bands that were there, which is kind of crazy. Even we're fairly new.
Yeah.
But people who came out, like, they came out for us, and then sadly they kind of left after we were done.
Yeah.
But
that sucks for everybody, actually.
It's for everybody, but I'll still take. I'm still flattered, at least,
Sure,
But
sure. Well, let's talk about the music scene in Tampa. Tampa is a pretty good sized city. What's the population of Tampa?
I think it's like 800,000, somewhere around there.
It might be more than that, I think, but I'll look it up. I'll do a JMO here. The scene there, is it how many music venues are there?
3,000 in Tampa proper, but I'm talking like the Tampa Bay area is about 800,000 as far as I remember.
Well, let's call it 1 million.
It's
Let's call it 1 million people. How many venues are there to choose from to perform at?
So there's actually lots of venues here. A lot of them end up doing more cover bands.
Yeah.
And just having live music as a selling point, but not necessarily trying to have live music to promote live music and original music, sadly.
Right.
There are definitely a few and that are actually pretty close here. Tampa itself, Tampa proper, doesn't have a ton of them. You can find a lot over in Clearwater and St. Pete, though. They have more over there.
Okay, so again, we talked about I don't know my geography, and I'm from Florida.
Yeah.
So we talked about Tampa's here.
So you have to cross the bridge to go out to St. Pete, Clearwater area.
Okay, so that's west.
Yes, it's west, closer to the Gulf. Yeah.
Okay, so
Tampa's more inland. Yeah.
well, I thought there's Tampa Bay.
Well, the Tampa Bay area is Tampa. It's Tampa and Clearwater and St. Pete. That's the Tampa.
Okay,
But
so we
yeah.
yeah, we really need to look at the population of Tampa, St. Pete, that whole
100,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole area. Yeah, because I think Tampa itself is about 400,000. There's about another 400,000 across the bridge.
Yeah. Wow. So what is the premier venue? Like when I say premier, I'm talking about, you know, pro lighting, raised stage, drum. This is kind of my litmus now of if I'm going to play a venue. Does it have a drum riser? Is it off the concrete floor? Is it, if it's an elevated stage with a drum riser, has proper lights, has good sound and great lights, and icing on the cake, a video wall behind it, that type of thing. What is there a venue like that there?
I haven't done a ton of shows. The show that I did just recently was at the Pegasus Lounge,
Uh-huh.
which the venue was great. It was slightly small. I think it fit maybe a little bit more than 150 people. Like it wasn't a huge venue, but it was nice. It was a great stage. I can send you some pictures and stuff of what we look like on stage and whatnot. Or anybody can check out my socials. I have some pictures of stuff up on there. The brass mug is pretty good.
Hey, real quick, pitch your socials. What's your?
Oh, sure. It's Strays of the World. Let me see.
Facebook, Instagram, all of that.
On Twitter, it's Strays of the World on Facebook. I believe it's Strays of the World also on TikTok. We're on Twitter/X.
Yeah.
Even on there, it's We Are All Strays at We Are All Strays.
Okay.
So yeah, we're all over the place now. Though at this point, you can obviously go to straysoftheworldmusic.com,
Right.
Official website where you can get all of the whatever you need.
Whatever you want.
Whatever you need. We also have a YouTube channel. Oh, so and then that one is just youtube.com/strays of the world.
Okay. And what type of content are you doing on your YouTube channel?
So on my YouTube channel, I end up doing sometimes just sit downs like this where I'm just kind of talking about what I'm thinking about in the moment.
Yeah.
Or trying to pitch the next thing or talking about what it's like to be a musician. But a lot of the time I end up posting like lyric videos up on there.
Okay.
That I am able to use, because I do video editing and stuff too. So I sometimes will make some lyric videos for my songs, and it's a good place to kind of host them. But yeah, most of it is just, me doing this. And also since it's an official artist channel, that means that it's synced up with YouTube Music. So if you want to stream your music through YouTube, then it's good to have a channel there because then the listener has access to everything else that you want to put out there.
Yeah. That kind of brings us around to, you can't not just write songs, record songs, perform songs, but now you have to market songs. What are you using for, your distribution service to be on Spotify and iTunes and that type of thing? And then are there some other tricks of the trade, things that you found that worked to promote also?
So I used DistroKid.
Okay.
I did a lot of looking around to figure out which one was the best one. I've heard, and honestly, all of the other ones that I was gonna use, I've heard horror stories about it since. So I'm glad I didn't go with them.
Yeah.
But honestly, I use DistroKid. It's super easy just to upload, and you can actually upload your videos to that as well. and then it'll be put on Vivo,
Yeah.
which is and so they have a deal that you can upload videos. It'll be both on YouTube and on Vivo, and it's like official. You get paid for those, which is awesome. Anything you upload
Whoa,
to
whoa,
YouTube,
whoa, 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 whoa. You don't get paid for anything on YouTube until you have what 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of viewing.
what I was going to say actually is you do if it's through your distribution company on YouTube. But if you upload it yourself to YouTube, then you have to have the right requirements. So all those videos where I'm just talking about my music or I'm doing a lyric breakdown or whatever, I'm not going to get paid on those until I hit those thresholds. But any of the songs that are streamed through my distributor or videos watched through the distributor, I mean, you get paid pennies, but you know,
Sure.
you get paid. So
Yeah. So when you say you're a distributor, you're talking about your DistroKid uploads.
because then they're basically they're acting as like, well, it's through us. We've hit the threshold, right? So the stuff we put up there, you know, we get paid for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because with the podcast that right here that we're working on, you know, there's 50 videos. It's got to be 400 hours worth of footage and content, and you know, you still have to. I'm not using DistroKid. I'm doing everything myself, and you have to meet these criterias that you know. My method that I've been doing is, you know, produce the content, make the video, have people on, have talks, and then host them on my YouTube channel, and then post them on the Facebook page, and then I've joined in the 56 original music groups from Malaysia, the UK, Canada, Arizona, New York. I just did 2 of them today. So I post the shows in 56 groups, and to reach out that way. Then you can obviously, you know, run ads to try to get traffic and all that kind of stuff. I do this because I enjoy talking to like-minded people that are writing original music and that have the same mental illness I do. And so I do it for fun, but I also am trying to just kind of build this thing organically and just get it out in front of people. And yourself, I posted in a Tampa Bay music group, and you reached out to us and said, "Hey, love to be on the show. You know, here's my content." I listened to the content and said, "Oh, this stuff's pretty cool, man. I like this." Boom, booked. Let's go. So, are there any? Is there anything I'm missing?
Gosh, I wish I had the answer to that one.
Yeah.
I think do you have a newsletter? What I've learned in a lot of my music, because I've taken some classes and done some courses and whatnot, and a lot of what I've learned from music promotion is that having a newsletter is very important. And the biggest part of that is because you can't rely on your social media because they want you to pay for basically access to the people who said they want to hear from you.
Right.
But you know, for anybody to even see a post of yours on Facebook for your page, you have to pay. Again, these people already liked it, they already subscribed, they said they want to hear it, they
Yeah.
said they post from you, but the algorithm doesn't want to give it to them unless you pay for it. So having your own newsletter, even though some might see that as an inconvenience because it's like, oh, it's an extra step, it's an extra thing in my inbox or whatever.
Yeah.
That basically gives you direct contact to the people who have bought into what you're doing.
Well, that was my concept of getting involved in every original music group, you know, groups in every state I could find one, and that's why then I, you know, share the episode, whatever episode it is, to that group. I've got some groups that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of hundreds of thousands of people in them that, you know, I kind of see that as a route of being able to get it to like-minded people that are already interested in, already interested in that vibe.
I mean, and it obviously already worked because I'm here.
Right.
So, I mean, you're definitely getting eyeballs. Like I said, the next step is just once you have the eyeballs, it's having direct contact with the person who owns those eyeballs, and
Yeah.
and then saying like, hey, the next episode you liked that other one. Hey, the next episode's up. It's in your inbox. Go watch it. Right. As
Right.
opposed to having to hope that the algorithm feeds them your next post in the next group.
Right.
You know, and like I said, it's a weird thing. Like I have lifelong friends who I will suddenly be like, wait, they have a kid? And it's just like, yeah, we had a kid last year.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, how come that hasn't popped up at all in my feed?
Yeah.
I'd like to stay on top of this stuff. And it's like, nope,
Yeah.
because the algorithm feeds you what it wants to feed you. And with music, it's even harder.
Yeah.
It's kind of that thing that I was saying before, which was like, as soon as anybody can make music, what it does is it makes it a lot harder to cut through the noise.
Yeah.
So, I think that there was the stat that like they were getting like I don't know, like tens of thousands of uploads from individual artists like every day.
Yeah.
Like
every hour.
Every hour, right?
Yeah.
But then also 80% of artists on Spotify don't have more than 50 listeners a month.
Right.
And it's like you have all these tens of thousands of millions of people putting music up.
Yeah.
No one's actually listening to the majority of it.
Yeah.
So how do you cut through the noise becomes that question, right? And social media is obviously a big part of that. I get a lot of my listeners through social media. Obviously, it also helps that I kind of built my name in other industries, and then I just told everybody, hey, I'm still doing my game design and stuff, but now I'm also doing music. And I've had a fair share of those people say, oh, you're making music now? Let me go check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a lot of goodwill in my other industries that I've worked in.
Yeah.
Definitely helps. And I've been able to carve my own little community of people and who dig my music and want me to succeed, which is nice.
Yeah.
And the goal there again with the live shows is just to no longer have to exist in my own little social media bubble anymore and bring people into my bubble. I'm going to go out into their bubbles.
Yeah. Now you said it earlier with Apple, the ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
Yeah. You get stuck in an ecosystem.
Yeah.
You mentioned TikTok.
Sure.
And I'm just afraid. I mean, after everything that I've heard about it, it's like, man, I don't know if I'm comfortable using the app, and there's this big scare tactic on using it, but at the same time, it seems to be a perfect spot to put reels and clips. Maybe not full hour and a half episodes, but
definitely not. No, you won't get the attention for those.
Yeah.
No, what I end up doing, honestly, what I started doing TikTok at my wife's insistence. I don't know, maybe like a month, maybe two ago. So I haven't been doing it for very long. But she said, hey, you have a new album coming out, you should probably start building up, the fan base there. I'm almost at 100 followers, which I heard is good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, ooh, I'm almost at 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I've been posting just like little clips of my songs. I posted a thing that was like, hey, we have the Kickstarter going. And I've posted a couple of things of me just like talking. Like the last one I posted was just like, hey, it's okay to ask for help sometimes.
Yeah.
Just kind of self-helpy sort of things. Just it was on my mind at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned TikTok to be, is like, it's just that place where if you just have a weird fleeting thought, say it into a camera and put it online, and maybe somebody else will be like, hey, I needed to hear that today, which was actually the thing that I got. That was the biggest feedback that I got from more than one person, was just like, hey, I actually needed to hear that today.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Like it was interesting.
Yeah.
It's different. It's different feedback than I've normally gotten from most of the stuff that I post online.
Yeah. Maybe I think my next venture is to add my X account. I'm going to do the X account, and I'm going to do that with the Giza is Gone project. Start doing some posts there, and Elon just did a. And do you still call them tweets?
I still call it Twitter and tweets. So
Yeah,
I have any of my naming conventions at
yeah.
all.
I mean, I don't know if on X, if I do a post, is it a post or is it an X? Is it a tweet? I don't know anymore.
Oh,
But
no, the weird thing is that on my phone they changed the logo from the Twitter to the X.
oh yeah,
On my desktop, it's still a Twitter. So
oh
they
wow,
didn't change it everywhere.
wow. Well, he hasn't quite landed that rocket yet on the computer yet. I don't think. Well, let's talk about Disaster, the third album. We're gonna listen to a track called Fall. What can you tell us about that track?
So Fall was one of those. Fall was a song that I kind of came up with. It's about being in a dysfunctional relationship that you need to leave, but it's really hard to leave. And that's kind of what it is. And again, sometimes my songs don't necessarily reflect well on my wife, but it was the moment I was feeling it. I still love her; she's great. But no. So honestly, this song was more born out of the guitar riff that I kind of came up with,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
added some really cool keys to it that really kind of amped up the energy in the song. And I really like the arrangement of the song as well. Like I think I don't know, I feel like it really comes across really nicely. And this one was one of those that when I was doing a lot of my pre-listens, what I did is I obviously have my own circle of like trusted musicians that are
Yeah.
my friends. So when I had my 15 solid songs done, I sent it around to everybody, and Fall was the one that just consistently, I believe everybody came back and said that was one of their faves.
Nice.
It's like, I mean, then it has to be on the album, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
it's a really cool song that I was doing a lot of things, a lot of like dropouts of instruments, a lot of highlights of the keys, really just trying to play around with having some rock and some funk together. Like you don't get that mix a lot.
Yeah.
So here like the bass is very slap. It's a slap bass, and the guitar is just like really crunchy. So I don't know. It's a fun track though.
All right. Hey, well, let's take a listen to it. This is Fall off the new record, Strays of the World, Disaster. I like the almost Trent Reznor vibe on that track. It's got a bit of what was it, Nine Inch Nails?
Yeah.
It's got kind of a vibe like that to it. I like it.
No, that one I'm very proud of that song actually. And the funny thing is that's one of those songs that I literally wrote in like an hour.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes forever to get a song right,
Yeah.
and sometimes it just flows and it just comes out. Um, that song that song I think also comes across really well for two reasons. One is I got a sample of like this really weird like African shaker
Yeah.
percussion
Yeah.
that's in the back, like in the back, and it's like it's really subtle, but it adds like a weird vibe to the track.
Yeah. Polyrhythm. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I at the end of my phrasing where the keys go like that right there was like that solidified the song. If you listen to the demo, it doesn't have that, and it just doesn't have the impact.
Right.
It was like, so I think those two elements like really like drove the song home.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can even hear it though, and like I said, this album Disaster has a lot more guitar work on it.
Yeah.
That song is obviously different than Hello, which had very minimal guitar in it essentially.
Yeah. But they both have your sound. I mean, they both have the same. There's a vibe there that is very similar. Are you doing all of the mixing and mastering?
So the versions that we're listening to today, I did the mastering for.
Yep.
One of the big things that we're doing with the Kickstarter is the purpose of the Kickstarter that we have. So you can go to Kickstarter.com and you can type in disaster or just hit the music. You just hit the music category.
Yeah.
We're on the first page.
Nice.
We're pretty high up there, especially since we already hit our initial funding goals. So it's just a matter of how much higher we can go, which is nice.
Right.
But the money from that is going to pay my audio tech guy, who's a professional mixer and master, who's going to deliver us, final cuts of these songs.
Yeah.
But these were ones that I mix and mastered, which I mix and mastered my first two albums and all the singles.
Yeah.
And I think that they came out pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty darn good for, I spent, a long time learning as much as I could. But the thing about this third album, Disaster, is that I'm so proud of it that I don't want any barriers.
Yeah.
I want as few barriers as possible for anybody to discount the awesomeness of this album.
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to say, oh, it was great, but it wasn't mixed right, or anything like that, right? I want it to have an impact. And I want people to stand up and pay attention to it because I feel like all of the songs on it really deserve that.
Yeah. Well, being gone down this road of mixing and mastering, it's an art form on its own, and getting things to sit in the mix, properly, radio ready type of. That's what we're all kind of going for. You write the song, you got the parts, you mix it, and you've listened to it 3,000 times until your brain is mush, and you just need a second, third set of fresh ears to mix it and get it to where you never thought it could go. And that's the beauty of handing it off to a qualified professional to mix it. Now, mastering, that's a whole nother thing. We had our last record mastered from a guy in LA. And then, mixing was one thing, mastering was another. So it's definitely worth spending the money to get it done. When you do it, are you intending to send the stems of the song, meaning
Actually yesterday to him because we wanted to go ahead and get started because it's 12 songs and there's so much to each of these songs.
Yeah.
Trying to give him as much time as possible. Our goal is to get them all done by like January so I can start marketing in February and possibly release the album in March.
Nice.
But yes, I exported all of the stems. Sent him over to him yesterday. He's already getting started on the first track, Road to Forever, and I think it's going to come out really, really good. We had already worked previously on like a sample. We did like a sample of one of the songs.
Yeah.
Crazy enough, it was one of the songs that ended up getting dropped from the album. But the mix that he did on that song was phenomenal. So I entrust this guy. His name's Ben Kruger. I trust this guy to be able to take my album and elevate it,
Nice.
the next level. And because I already know the songs are good.
Yeah.
Now it's the presentation of them
Yep.
be as good as it can be. So definitely going to be worth the money. And that's what the Kickstarter's for, you
Yeah.
know.
And
You know,
just so you know, kids, it's not cheap. It's not cheap to have a professional, mix and master. And also, those that don't know, stems are each individual part of the song. So you would send them, the percussion loop. You would send them the bass track. You would send them the keyboard track. Each individual track in the session, so that they can put it at the levels that they think it should be at. And when we get it back as artists, we typically are like, in my case, are like, oh, that's what it was supposed to sound like. I thought it was perfect, but guess what? No, my guitar was too loud because I was mixing.
yes, exactly. Well, and part of what this album too, one of the main reasons I really wanted to get an outsider to come in and mix and master it is because I did get a live drummer for this album. My previous projects had been, drum sequencing and like samples and stuff.
Sure.
This album, live drums is a whole other beast when it comes to mixing it,
Yeah.
making it sound good for the album. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do. So it's better just to hand it off to a pro
Yeah.
who knows what they're doing, knows how to shape all the frequencies and stuff.
Yep.
The best thing about Ben is that not only is he taking on this project for me to do the music, but also he's been teaching me along the way
Yep.
because he knows I have an interest in doing it. So he's not just doing it, he's doing it and he's showing me what he's doing.
Right.
Which is, that's not something that anybody is to be expected to do, right? Like he's doing it because he believes in the music. He gets it, right? He gets
Right.
what I'm doing. It's really, really cool. Like he's a great person to work with.
Yeah, and that's again what it comes down to is relationships, meeting different, producers, mixers, different, drummers, different bass players, and it's absolutely insane to think you can do it yourself, unless you're Prince, unless you're Prince.
Inspiration.
Yeah,
That's my first couple albums. I did do it all myself.
yeah,
Which had it was rewarding to say that I did it all myself, but now I'm thinking like I might need to raise more money to have my other two albums professionally mixed and mastered.
yeah,
I think that those albums are great, but the mix that I did, especially I guess on my first one, because I still wasn't even as good as I was on my second one.
right.
But like the songs are great. I not to pat myself on the back too hard, but I consider myself a good songwriter.
Yeah.
It's the rest of it that comes hard sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. You need a producer to tell you, too much of this, less of that, blah blah blah. And also that person has to be a trusted, advisor to be able to hand it over and go, okay, do what you do, and I hope it's awesome. And typically when you relent your ego and hand it off, you're going to get something that you didn't expect back.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
and ego is a big thing that gets in the way of, well, basically everything. That if you can find that person, that you can hand your babies over to and go, man, this is all I got. And I think the concept and the ingredients are there for the cake, but it's just not rising right, and I need you to frost it.
What I've learned is because I do like being my own producer. I love producing my own stuff. Um, so but I'm 100% okay with like producing it and then handing off the stems for somebody to do like a remix or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I got my version of this out, and if anybody else wants to take that and do whatever they want with it too, at that point, I'm fine because I still got to say my piece, as opposed to, taking the one that I created and handing it to a different producer that might change it all around.
Right.
The mixing and mastering is different than the production aspect of that. Like a lot of the choices that you hear in my songs are like 100% purposeful, that I wanted it to be exactly that way, and if it's not that way, the song isn't right for me.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like when we were just listening to Fall, and when I go up at the end where I go, oh again, and there's like I said, oh again, like I set the echo to be like just exactly where I wanted it.
Yeah. Slap back.
Otherwise it didn't sound right, right?
Right.
So it's one of those things. Like the production aspect is, I actually think I like the production of the songs. Like that's one of my favorite parts, is figuring out what's everything going to sound like, how am I going to fit it all together, and when do things come out and when do they go in, and
Yeah.
like I love the production side of it. The mixing and mastering is like, it's more like it's that final polishing.
Yeah. Frosting.
Yeah, but like I love to mold it myself.
Yeah.
If you want to go with a different metaphor, the sculpting is the recording of the music, and then like what is it, like but then you go in with like the chisels and stuff, and you're carving. That's the production part,
Yep.
and then the kiln is like
Yeah.
the mix and mastering,
Yeah.
right?
Or getting it bronzed. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. And more than that, I appreciate that you reached out to us because I shared to Tampa Bay Original Music Group. So I encourage other artists that may see the the podcast and the show. If you've got something you're proud of and want to come on and talk about it and excited about it, I'm your guy. Just send me a message, and if you've got logos, if you've done the work and you've got your stuff on Spotify or on YouTube, you got videos. If you've put that much work into your passion, I'd love to hear from you.
100%.
Because I'm just here to help original artists be heard and get their stuff out. We talked earlier a little bit about how it's kind of difficult for original artists, original bands to get shows. What is the scene in Tampa Bay? Do you have a Bon Jovi tribute band down there?
I haven't seen the Bon Jovi one,
You got
but we
Tom Petty. You got Tom Petty.
definitely have a Tom Petty one down here.
Yeah.
I believe we have the top one down here. Gosh, there's a few others. I mean, obviously, like, we have obviously the Prince tribute bands down here.
Right.
I believe we have two of them down here.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely the tribute bands, and cover bands are easy. Like they can get slots in pretty easily because people want to hear familiar songs, that they can sing along to and whatnot. So it's a lot easier to sell that sort of thing. All of our open mic nights, I went to a few open mic nights, and it was like our original music, and then everybody else was up there just singing their favorite songs.
Yeah.
But they're doing them well, but it was original music at the open mic nights.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
Well, I think you also have in Florida. There's not a place that I've gone to that didn't have a solo artist with a looper pedal or on a patio by the beach singing Jimmy Buffett songs and the like. There's those type of venues down there. We don't have those here, but You know.
Yeah, I've definitely been to more than one, ocean, not oceanside because we're not by the ocean, but like, beachside cafe that's got like a dude with a acoustic guitar
Yeah.
and a mic. Yeah, like that happens all the time. But yeah, mostly bit Jimmy Buffett and those kind of, more songs that you can do acoustic, more beach themed things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could land one of those
Yeah.
places.
Right.
It's not beachy.
Yeah. 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 Well, that one song has some reggae in it. You might get there with that one.
But you're right, actually. Hello might actually
Yeah.
work.
Might work. Um, well, again, I appreciate you coming on and enjoyed talking to you, learning about Strays of the World. And if you get a chance, go and support Eloy,
Got it.
yeah, at his Kickstarter for Disaster, which will be the third record. And you said January, you're hoping to have that done and released. And by the way, Fall, the track that we played, the second track, is it's unreleased. I guess we kind of released it, right?
All right. You just played as the first place it's ever been heard.
Yeah.
But yes, the goal is to get it all like in the can by January, and then start the marketing at that point, which means the release would likely be either February or maybe early March for the like official release.
Right.
You know, give some time, and the thing is like my Ben was like, oh, we can push through this, we can get it done by before the end of the year, and I'm like, but there's Christmas, there's Thanksgiving, like let's give ourselves some leeway, right? Let's say at least by the end of January we can have this done.
Yeah.
Let's not super rush it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we're doing a Black Friday release
Oh.
on a single, but we're not ready to do the record. So we're gonna do a single on Black Friday, and then who knows when the rest of the stuff is gonna come out. Artwork is done. Hey, how do you handle like artwork and graphics and album covers and all that? That's a whole nother side of having to be creative.
I did my first album cover. I did myself,
Mhm.
and then I hired a friend of mine who was a graphic designer. It was essentially because I'm a game writer, so I have a publishing company, and I actually hired my layout guy in between laying out my books
Right.
to also and do my album cover for me.
Right.
And and it looks really cool. It's like a planet, but with my logo on it and stuff. It's really cool. He did a great job with it. And up until this album, I don't know if I'm going to do it again, but I had like individual artwork for each of the songs so
Right.
that like each one would be distinctive from each other and stuff like that. I think this time I might just use the same artwork for all of them. It's a lot less intense of a project if you do it that way. But honestly, a lot of that stuff it also depends on your distributor whether that stuff is even worth it. For instance, with DistroKid, me making a different image for each song isn't even actually worth it because you can't upload separate images for different songs, whereas I've heard with other ones you can. So with other ones, you can give each individual song its own artwork. In this case, I end up using my alternate artwork for my thumbnails on YouTube, but also I use them as canvases in Spotify. When you're playing the song, whatever artwork you upload for that song, it'll play. So I put them on Spotify and I put them on YouTube, but technically they all have the same album cover, the core album cover. If you go to like Apple Music or whatever,
Yeah.
so it's a little weird. But I mean, I like the idea because to me, art says something about the song.
Yeah.
So if you give a piece of artwork for every song, like I feel like it conveys, exactly what you're going for with the song in a visual mindset. Even though it's music, it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Sure. No, and you have to be careful too. Like some distributors, like the one that we use, we upload a album and it costs this much. If you upload a single, you could do it that way and have different artwork for each one. But if you do it as a collaborative piece, it's this price versus this price, and at 0.00033 cents per stream, it's hard for an artist to spend the extra money annually
Yeah.
to keep it up there, to upload a different artwork for that song. Now, I have been noticing that there are some perpetual um, distributors that you
Mhm.
can put music up and they'll go to the same spots. They'll go to Spotify and iTunes and all that kind of stuff. And instead of paying a fee annually and getting all the money, they'll do a 10%. They'll get 10% of your 0.00033 cents, which might not be a bad deal. I'm paying, $50 a year for this service for a whole record and making $38, right?
What it does is you can actually pay, I don't remember the exact amount, but on with your release, you can just pay and it just says your album will just always be up. Like you still have to pay it's like even if you cancel your thing with them, even if you die, your album will just always be available.
Is that
So
DistroKid does that?
your kid does it. I think it's called the legacy. It's like the legacy fee or something like that. So it's literally like even if you stop making music, even if you die, even if you cancel your thing, they'll still keep your music up. So you're only paying the one time and it's just up forever. You still have to obviously you're still paying a yearly thing, but even the yearly thing's like $20 a year.
Hmm.
You don't take a cut or anything because it's a whole thing. But it is cheaper to release albums than it is singles.
Yeah.
Basically is actually, I won't even say it's cheaper. It's the same price. So you can release 10 songs at one time and it's this price, or you can release one song and it's the same price.
Right.
Like actually kind of annoying the way that it is.
Yeah.
But that's how they make their money.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. It's just,
Singles, they make money on singles and they don't make money on albums.
yeah. Well, I don't think anybody does. Anyway, again, I appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you reaching out to us, and I like the music, dude. Keep going for it, and I'm going to send you that track I was talking about,
Yes.
and I would like to hear what comes back from your mixing and mastering guy, and
Sure.
and I'd like to hear if you're happy with it. I want to know if it works out.
I will definitely let you know. And if I am happy with it, I'll give you his name and his information.
Absolutely. Hey, we'll plug him, man. We'll have him come on.
So Ben is awesome. His name's Ben Kruger. He's got his own YouTube channel where he posts all kinds of stuff about mixing and mastering,
Yeah.
like all kinds of stuff. He's really, really good. I'll send you a link to his stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Well, man, all right. Well, we'll catch you on the release.
Yes.
Reach out to us, and we'll definitely talk then.
Really will. Thank you so much for having me on.
It was fun. All right, we'll see you on the next episode.
You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gaffman.